My name is Coach Steve, the Affordable Life Coach. I've been coaching over 13 and a half years and like to share the lessons that I've learned within myself, what I've learned in coaching, and just being human and studying this for a long time. One of the most common reoccurring themes in coaching that causes relationships to struggle or people to suffer is a breakdown of communication. The communication is the bedrock of all our relationships. And if it's something that you would like to work on, you could send me an email in the description. I offer a complimentary consultation, and the sessions afterwards are ridiculously affordable. When I'm coaching people, I coach from a place of being very honest, direct, and getting people to challenge some of their self-limiting beliefs and helping them to realize the ways that in which they deceive themselves and we deceive ourselves. And it's the just having honest communication, and honest communication especially with ourselves, empowers us. Because if we don't have honest communication, we are basing our lives on a cliche word, but it's misinformation. It's false facts appearing real. That's an acronym for fear. False evidence appearing real. Fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And it pops up so regularly in coaching sessions where clients are running their software, their very important life decisions, or their relationships on fear, false evidence appearing real, and it twists and ties them up in a knot, creates emotional reasoning, which is very ineffectual and can be self-sabotaging and self-destructive. The most important thing that we can do is to stop and take a dip and communicate from a place where truth abounds. And you need to pause for that. A while back I had one client where I would ask her a question because I like to ask questions to get clients to self-reflect. I would ask her a question and she would pause for like 30 seconds up to a minute, sometimes even longer, before responding. And she would be sitting in her chair and then she would just look away. And she would reflect, dig deep, and not give a conditioned automated response, which is going to gravitate towards the self-deception, something superficial, something defensive, something that is based on fear, something that is a rationalization or an excuse. And I found it very fascinating. While she was on the extreme end, I always admire talking to people that just simply pause before they speak. Because when we don't do that, we are being very robotic and automated and scripted in our communication. And a lot of this comes from our childhood. We learn very effective strategies and defense mechanisms when we are young in order to protect ourselves, and especially if we have trauma in our lives, or especially if we were judged, bullied, attacked, we were different, eccentric, and we learn how to protect ourselves. And there's so much carryover into our adulthood in the way we communicate. And I will see sometimes even clients will regress to their childhood self, where they're fearful, they're scared, they're emotionally in a knotted ball of yarn, and just can't make sense of what they're feeling. And so they tap into their emotions. What I'm feeling is fear. What I'm feeling is frustration. What I'm feeling is anger. And you're the one that has caused that. Instead of empowering themselves and saying, hey, how have I created this? How is my reaction to what was said a huge factor in my response? And when we take ownership of our reactions, we can then have very healthy, constructive communication. And the important thing is to let the other person know. Sometimes I'll be in a coaching session and a client will be going through an emotional storm, emotional turmoil, and it could be they just haven't gotten enough sleep, they've had a very stressful week, they have had a lot of anxieties, a lot of uncertainty, they have big decisions that they feel pressured that they have to make. They might be getting criticized or judged by family members. They might have a boss that's just driving them crazy. You never know what a person's inner world looks like. Way back in the day, they used to have these mood rings, and people would wear them on their finger, and it would change colors. And it would be a reflection of, it was supposed to be a reflection. It wasn't accurate, but it was just like a novelty gimmick. And it would be a reflection of what the mood is you're feeling inside. So red would be you're very angry. I forgot some of the other colors, maybe purple, you're happy or relaxed. Pink, you're feeling joyful. I don't remember exactly, but it's very good way to look at the different shades of color that we go through, not even day to day, it could be hour to hour. And one of the things when I'm coaching clients is for them, I encourage them to be very self-aware of what their color status is. And green zone is calm, relaxed, receptive. You can have a discussion with them. Everything's cool. They're well rested. They're not hungry. They're not angry. Yellow, a slight little stress. Yellow might be you're driving in traffic and you wanted to be home and you have to be somewhere and it's going to run late because traffic. Orange might be you driving in traffic and someone cuts you off and almost causes an accident. That'll get you really, really frustrated and angry and upset. And red is going to be the road rage, where you've lost all emotional control. You're yelling, you're screaming, you're just angry as all can be, and you do a lot of things that are out of character and you later regret, and you say things. Oftentimes when I'm coaching couples or I'm just coaching individuals, and they will regret some of the things, hurtful things that they'll say to their partner or a family member or friend in the red zone. Now, how do we de-escalate? Well, one of the things is prevention. And we want to become really skilled and self-aware of what our zone is. So when I'm talking to a client or I'm talking to a friend, because I've been doing this so long, I can oftentimes read what a person's feeling. But there's many times I can't read what a person's feeling internally. I don't know whether to attribute it that the conversation in the coaching session is too challenging for them. They're having some fears. Their pain body is activating because of the topic we're discussing. They've had a really hard week. And when someone communicates with me, or when I communicate with someone else, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little stress. I'm feeling that what you're saying to me is causing me to get frustrated or aggravated, or causing me to feel angry towards you. And let's talk about it. I feel like I'm being judged and criticized, and that you're not trying to understand my position or point of view. Wonderful. Now, when you have two people that care about each other and want to have a strong, close-knit relationship, they're going to look at that as an opportunity to connect deeper with you. And what happens in the most of the time is people don't say anything. So the other person has no idea what your emotional inner state is because you haven't told them. And how many times do people say, especially couples, oh, well, they should have known I was upset or they should have known I was angry? No, you got to talk about it. Yeah, sometimes they will know. If you're slamming doors or you're stomping around the house or your body language, but sometimes it's very subtle. And I realize sometimes we don't even realize it ourselves when we're escalating into the yellow or orange zone. And when you communicate it with the other person, it releases pressure within yourself, like a pressure cooker. You suppress it, it builds and builds and builds. And as you release it, the other person, again, this is, keep in mind, we have somebody that cares about us and not an adversary, because sometimes an adversary or someone that you don't get along with or don't have a connection might use it against you, or it's just going to escalate even further. Well, you're frustrated with me. I'm frustrated with you because you did this, the other. When we're communicating that way, we're not trying to understand. We're not trying to empathize. We're not healing. We're not properly explaining the pain we're in or what we're feeling. And when you express it, the other person can then better understand it. And then you can come up with solutions. And also what I encourage, especially when I'm coaching couples, is one person has to stay in the green zone. So if one partner is in the orange or red zone, is frazzled, is angry, is upset, what happens is that will escalate and trigger the other person to also go to the orange or red zone. And then it's just it's a duel, and it's a yelling match or a shouting match, or just people just storming off from each other. And sometimes you might have to ask the person. I was talking to my very close friend. We were having a debate about a topic that we don't necessarily see eye to eye. And I noticed that he was getting angry with me because I wasn't agreeing with him. And I just brought it to his attention. I said, oh, it seems like you're angry with me right now. I didn't attack him. Why are you angry? You're the one that's wrong. I read him and I know his patterns, and I brought it to his attention, and he goes, oh yeah, you're right. I am angry. And then we talked about it, and we had a whole long discussion about why he was angry, what is causing him the frustration. And a lot of it has not, most of the time, it doesn't even have anything to do with me. It has to do with him. Or when I'm getting angry or frustrated with someone, it has to do with me. And either me not communicating, me suppressing my emotions, I really try to avoid this, but if I'm people pleasing, I know it's a short-term gain for long-term pain, and I'm just going to hold resentment towards a person. So I really try to avoid that and just speak totally honest with people. And so then we had this nice discussion about it, and it was a de-escalation strategy that was very effective. Now, it's not always going to work 100% of the time, but when you're both in the green zone and you talk about these things and say, hey, you know what, when we have conflict or when there's tension in our relationship, let's come up with a strategy on how to handle it. And asking questions is the best way. One of the biggest red flags, if you're in a relationship or I'm coaching someone, one of the biggest red flags that we need to do some deep inner work is when people become defensive. When people become really defensive, the wall goes up, they shut down, and you can't have a healthy, constructive conversation, and you can't address what's causing them to become defensive, because you're talking to their pain body. It's like trying to, in the wild, approach a wounded animal. It doesn't know that you were trying to help it. It's not used to that. It sees you as a threat, and it can become very aggressive. and working within ourselves to catch ourselves. Like when I start to notice if I become defensive, now I'm not talking about like having an honest conversation and expressing your side of the view and setting and listening to their side of the view. I'm talking about someone that just the wall goes up. I'm not doing that. No, you're completely wrong. Or no, 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 that's wrong. Or your body language, shaking your head no like this and shutting the other person down. And if you notice that you're feeling attacked, like, oh, I'm a good worker, I don't know why you're saying that about me, it reveals your own inner insecurity. When you know you're good and you feel that you're valuable and that you're doing a good job at whatever the role is, you don't need to prove it to other people verbally. Your actions and your life show it. When I was when I worked for someone else, I had a really critical boss, and I noticed that no matter when I defended myself, he would attack more and criticize more. And what gave me peace is just listening and maybe even asking questions. That's interesting. Why do you feel that about me? What would you need? What do I need to do differently in order for you to not feel that I'm not doing a good job in X, Y, and Z? And asking questions is such an effective way of disarming the other person, showing that you're valuing what they're saying, and showing that you're confident, that you're calm, that you're composed. It really shows like hierarchical status when you see which person, and it could be in a group dynamic, which person is the most defensive. They're the lower status because they need to up their status by verbally convincing people that what they're being criticized about or attacked about is not true. Now, there's a calm way that we can have a discussion. I'm not saying not to say anything, but when someone's becoming defensive and when it happens in yourself. And the key thing is just communicate about it. You might not even have to address what they're criticizing you. You could say, you know what, I'm feeling attacked right now. I'm feeling judged, and I'm feeling that you're coming from a place to push me down, to try to make me feel bad. And I want to hear you, and this is a better way where I'll be more receptive when you present it to me in this way. And everything is communication. And when you're a people pleaser, you generally shut down the communication. And what happens, you shut down the communication, you suppress, and then there's an explosion. Or then you want to numb out and turn to something to escape these emotions that you're suppressing. If you're having constant communication and release in your conversations, you alleviate so much tension and you don't bottle things up. And it's a skill, and you're not going to be good at it right away, but the more you practice it and the more you detach from how you're being perceived and instead focus on, this is what I need to share in order to feel that we're bonding, or we're on the same wavelength, or that we're connecting as two human beings. And people are not used to this. So one, you preview them for it, say, hey, this is what to expect from me. And hopefully they're on the same page. And if they're not on the same page, find out why they don't want open, honest communication. And two, don't be discouraged when you get pushback, because you're going to get pushback. But it's so freeing to be able to just communicate on an ongoing basis, be really in tune with what you're feeling, but not being emotionally reactive. It's kind of like a mixture of two. I'm feeling this. I'm going to mix it with some logical, rational mind, and then I'm going to verbalize it in a constructive way. And then when you look in the mirror, you like your reflection because you're not being phony, and your relationships are so much deeper. Relationships, I'm amazed, even in couples that I coach, or even people that have been friends for a long time, like how they don't talk to each other about deeper things. Most stuff is just functional, about the routines, about the schedules, about how they're going to take care of X, Y, and Z. And we really want to understand what another person is feeling, especially someone that we care about, but even what another person is feeling that we might even completely disagree with politically, spiritually, religion wise. And that is the ability to develop that empathy. And they'll oftentimes, most people, if they're a caring person, they got a good soul, they'll reciprocate that to you. The worst thing we can do is just lash out and put a smile on our face, and inside we're feeling resentment, we're feeling anger, we're feeling frustration, we're feeling, and really it's pain. We're feeling fear. It's pain and fear and sadness. Talk about it. Talk and just talk and talk and talk. And then you model that behavior, and they'll mirror that back to you. And it makes you just feel so much more confident. My clients who I coach, the most insecure and usually anxious and not as happy clients are the ones that are people pleasers. Because how can you be happy being someone you're not? Being phony, wearing a mask, telling people what you think they want to hear instead of how you truly feel. These things, as I said, it is a skill, and it's something we work on in coaching, and I work on with clients. We have social stretching challenges. We have role plays. Like, this is something that takes practice and is something that coaching is very beneficial in order to build these skills, develop confidence with these skills, and to be able to practice these skills in the real world. And it starts with the coaching relationship. What happens when I'm coaching someone? My goal is to model healthy communication so they have a template to take out into the real world. And it's really effective. And it sets you free. If you're interested, the consultation is free. My email is in the description. No obligation afterwards. And if you do decide to coaching, I have all different socioeconomic brackets of clients from all over the world. It's ridiculously affordable, and it's just one session at a time. So there's absolutely no obligation or commitment. So send me an email if you're interested. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link where you can donate, and even a small amount is appreciated. And it just lets me know that people value this content. Thanks for watching, and thanks for your patience, because I know my videos tend to be a little bit longer than TikTok, or a lot longer than TikTok and YouTube Shorts, but that's the only way to deliver deeper, more meaningful content. So thanks for tuning in, and look forward to the next one. Bye-bye.